podcast. Today I have the gorgeous Kirstie Duggan. Hello, Kirstie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That was so
Um,
formal.
do a little handshake now.
Like, hey, gal.
Hey. Myself and Kirstie met here in Bali. Well, I'm in Bali right now, and you're in Kildare in
Yeah,
Ireland.
so
Yeah,
upset. Don't even want to
yeah.
talk about it. Yeah. It's absolutely Baltic.
Is it
It's Baltic.
temporary though? Temporary.
Temporary. Definitely temporary. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming back in the new year.
Yes, thank
But
God. Can't wait.
yeah. All exciting though. I think it's important to kind of take these breaks and
No, it
appreciate
is.
it because yeah, like I can feel
Oh, it
myself
makes
getting
me. I thought I was done with
irritated.
Bali and I literally got home and I'm like, get me back now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel myself getting irritated at the minute and I'm like, I'm not really enjoying it for what it's meant to be. I'm getting
Yeah.
you get comfortable, don't you? You get really comfortable.
Yeah.
And then you start fucking moaning about stupid things. You're like,
No,
oh
I
my
was
god,
like
I'm
that.
so grateful.
Yeah. No, it's so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm kind of appreciating now. I've got 2 weeks. Oh my god, I don't even have 2 weeks left. I think I've got 10 days left. And the girls were down on the beach today, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go down to the beach, enjoy my day on the beach, because I'm not gonna be able to do that like
I
as I
know.
please, I suppose."
Yeah.
So off on my bike I went, and I was like, "Oh my god, time is coming to a close."
I know. And that's going to fly your last few days.
I know. But I'm really excited. I'm really fucking excited for my next chapter. It's so funny. I think this podcast won't even be out until like February or something. And here's me talking about leaving Bali.
I know.
I did that last time as well, I think. I think I recorded all my podcast episodes before I left and then released them throughout the summer. So everyone kind of knows what's up at this point. But can you tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do, coaching, etc., etc.?
Yeah. So I'm 29, the big 30 next year. And I was in the beauty industry for like 10 years and I was constantly thinking about like going back and doing personal training and kind of just never had the balls to change career. And then kept putting it off and putting it off. And I was living in Dubai and just the work-life balance is so tough. Like it's very heavy work orientated, your life over there. And I was like, for it to be like this, like I need to be doing something I'm obsessed with. And the beauty industry was just not it.
Mm.
So yeah, I quit and moved to Bali to study. I studied all my personal training online and was supposed to be there for like 3 months and then just could not leave. So I was there like five and a half months and ended up launching my business, but it's very like mindset based as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want someone to look unreal, but then they feel like shit on the inside. Like that's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not where we're at. So yeah, so I'm just kind of finding my feet with that still, I think.
Lovely. And how long were you in Dubai before you moved to Bali?
A year and a half. Yeah.
Wow. And
Yeah.
what would have that
But
been your first experience living away from home?
oh my God, yeah, that's where I learned to use a washing machine. Like it was so bad. Like I was literally so spoiled. And like at home, it was just a whole different life. And then I was like, what do you mean I have to do all these things for myself? Now, to be fair, like Dubai, you're also spoiled.
Mm,
So, I had it easy. Like I definitely probably was more thrown in the deep end in Bali.
okay. Okay.
But
I
yeah,
feel
I'd
like
never
I've
lived.
regressed a little bit because I haven't used a dishwasher. You get your washing done. All
See,
my food is cooked. All my
this is
cleaning is
true.
done.
And it's kind of like that in Dubai as well. But I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, and you do get homesick. Like it's a hard place to live, like mentally, I
Mm,
think. Um, but yeah, like I had a ball. I had a ball.
love that. Love that for
Yeah.
you. And when you came to Bali, I actually remember the moment that you were like, I'm not going home. I'm not going back.
I know. I just
I was
couldn't.
like, yes, girl.
But it took me so long to settle though.
Okay. Yeah. That would be the same for me. A
Like
lot
I'd
of people
say
I spoke to.
2.5, 3 months. And then by the time I was going home, I was like, oh no, I can't leave now. But it took me a long time to, I don't know what it was. It is unsettling when you first get there. Like there's big adjustments. Like I think people forget that it is a third world country. Like there's barely a path and they just expect it to be like Instagram. And I definitely was one of them people like,
I know. I think we expect ourselves to fit in, especially if we see people online that we follow and we kind of have
yeah,
similar interests or similar outlooks, or we've spoken to them or
yeah,
whatever. So I came over here expecting myself to fit right in just like all the girls did. And I was beating myself up for weeks because I was like, why can't I do this? How the fuck did I crash my bike when the girls are able to drive? No problem. So embarrassing. I need lessons and they don't. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous way to be thinking.
No, it is
But
hard though.
there's so many things. And I spoke about this in the podcast before. I think it was with Nicole. Actually, so funny. It's day one of my period today, and the day one of my period that was with Nicole.
Stop
I'm eating gelato again. For anyone listening, I just had right beside the podcast studio is a gorgeous gelato spot. They
Oh,
have
stop.
salted caramel and honeycomb in the one flavor.
I'm actually drooling.
So
Oh,
we had to get it again. It's day one of the period. It's gelato time.
I'm so jealous. Stop it.
What was I even talking about? Oh yeah. But basically it took me such a long time to kind of fit into Bali, and I thought I was getting rejected by Bali. And that's such a common thing because Bali will bring up like
Oh,
all your insecurities. It will bring up everything. Like it will
I
fuck
heard,
you up
yeah, I
straight
heard
in
people
your head.
saying that, and I was like, you've all lost the plot. And then I was like, oh my God, it's eating me alive.
I love how on your podcast you were talking about basically you'd be saying a few things and you'd be like, people are going to think I'm weird, but my Bali friends would get it. But
Literally.
that's what it's like here. You get to, I think when you know that kind of way.
Absolutely. And there's just no judgment in Bali though. Like if I literally, it's mad because no matter what you say you want to do or pursue, like people are like, you can do it. And it could be like completely unreachable, but the support is like 11 out of 10,
Yeah, it is.
which
It's
is
so
so
nice,
good.
isn't it? Yeah,
So
yeah.
good.
It's so lovely. Like you make friends for life, like absolutely, and like
Yeah,
you have such deep conversations with people. Like we met for the first time, we're chatting about everything and anything, you know.
I
So
know.
yeah, and there's literally there's no walls. There's literally just nothing but love, and that's what I love about it here as well.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. There are obviously people who are blow-ins on holidays and stuff like that, and
yeah,
there are like tourists can be tourists. But
yeah.
I think I think we've been so lucky and so blessed to meet the people
Oh my
that we've
God.
met here.
So
Yeah,
lucky. And the Irish community is so good out there.
I know.
It's
Like I
insane.
came, I think most of us came to Ireland to kind of get away from Ireland, let's say, and to have a kind of a new experience and to kind of meet new cultures and stuff. And we're literally all just drawn to each other. We're just such
I
a
know.
thing to each other.
I know. But it's a comfort thing when you're that far away from home. Like you do need to feel like a little bit at home. Like even
It
your cup of
definitely
tea
is.
and all, like you need things like that just for that little bit of comfort. Like I go with the Lions tea bags and I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine now.
Do you bring Lions tea bags with you?
Yeah, I need stuff like that. I used to do that
I'm
in Dubai
actually
if I was homesick. I'd have like my hot water bottle, a fluffy nightgown, and my Lions tea bags, and I'd be like, I'm okay now. It's fine.
a
It's just a
fluffy dressing
comfort
gown.
thing.
You'd bring one
I
with you.
know. Honestly. They were like, have you lost the plot? And I was like, yeah, long ago.
Well, to be fair, I brought my fluffy socks to Portugal and still wanted to kind of be that coziness. I do get that,
Oh,
but the dressing gown, I think I have to call it at that now.
I know. And can you imagine? I actually shipped it over. Like I was shipping things over, and I was like, and the dressing gown.
Oh
Like,
my
what?
god.
I know it's commitment, really.
Oh, we love it. We love the commitment to the role.
Yeah.
Oh god. I suppose I kind of want to talk today about like your mental health journey, and would that have been moving away from home? Would that have been something that was really difficult for you to do, or was it something that you were
Really
really
difficult.
excited to do? Mm,
Both, I feel.
yeah.
Like I was really excited, but I almost needed like it was healthier for me to leave at the time. Like I feel like I was in not the worst headspace I've ever been, but I wasn't in like a healthy place and I just did need a change. And yeah, kind of it was a little bit of running away, but I kind of just needed to. I needed like a whole
Mm,
reset, change of environment, change of scenery, like just to start fresh. Like
yeah, yeah. And would that have been like an intentional decision that you're kind of going on a healing journey now, or it was like a bit of an escapism?
I would say escapism. I want to be like, it was a healing, but it's not.
Yeah, no, I was the exact same. I was running away to Portugal in the middle of the pandemic. I was like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Kind of running to better shores and stuff like that. But I suppose what you probably found out was that its grass isn't always greener.
Oh, absolutely. And your shit follows you.
It does, it does.
It
I
does.
suppose I love that phrase. It's like we can't put glitter on the shit. The shit still
No,
stinks.
so true. So true. But yeah, I realized that very quickly. But I just feel like it was easier just to take yourself out of a bad environment. It was easier to be a little bit more isolated and sort my shit than like be in the mix of it and not be able to get away from situations. Like, I am from a small town, and everyone knows everyone, everyone knows everyone's business. Your business out there isn't always on your terms. So I feel like I just needed a change. Big
Mm-mm.
time.
Yeah, and what would be like when you got to Dubai, was that something that you were like, I'm gonna start dipping my toe and kind of healing things, or was that didn't happen until Bali?
Well, I started doing Reiki when I was really struggling with my mental health, and I was at a point where like I was admitted to hospital, and I was on so much medication that like I couldn't even function. Like, I remember one day being like, I was that out of it that I was like, I have to tell my family that like they can't visit. I had to make up some excuse because I was literally sitting in the chair like this, and I couldn't even, I was like this, but I was a little bit, thank God, I was aware enough to be like, this isn't right.
Mm,
Because that's what broke my heart. I kept being like, yeah, but what if people don't have that strength to be like, this is not okay? And that's what broke my heart. And then I luckily met someone who recommended this girl Jenny for Reiki, and honestly, that just changed my life. Like,
wow.
it was mad, mad. So it really helped me with like withdrawals and like off medication and like negative thoughts, and just it was like a safe space when I went into her, I feel.
Mm.
And then I did go on to study my level 1 and 2. But I did my level 2 from Dubai actually about 6 months in. I did it
Oh, you're
online.
trained as well.
Yeah,
Love that for you.
love it. Now I definitely don't use it as much as I should be. Like, I feel like at the
Mm.
moment I have a bit of a mental block against it, and I don't know why, but we're working on it.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely.
I just trained on Thursday and Friday, so it's something that I
Ah,
wanna. Yeah, I'm excited.
it's so
I
good.
definitely want to start doing it. I think it's just developing trust for myself in terms of like
Yes.
it's practical, it's hands on. It's kind of something different rather than using my logical part of my brain that very much
Yeah,
is like this hormone
absolutely.
is connected to this and this is connected to
Yeah,
this. It's like trusting. It's full on trusting intuition and
yeah,
senses and what you're feeling. So.
absolutely. And I think I'm too much in my head. Um, and then like so much so that I'm like, I can't do this. And then I actually went to, Flo that everyone goes to for Reiki in Bali. Like, she
Okay.
is the best. And she was like, maybe you're just not able. And I was like, I think you're right. And then she did Reiki with me, and she was like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's in your head. And I was like, okay, well, that makes it a start to know that I'm actually capable.
No, she's the best. She's who did my training.
Oh,
Shout out to Flo. Honestly, if you're in
she's
Bali,
amazing.
hit me up and I'll connect you with Flo. She's
No,
just
so
an
good.
earth angel. Like she's just brilliant. But what was I gonna say? Apart from or before you started doing Reiki, then was there any kind of ways that you would have been coping or maybe subconsciously thinking that you were coping
That's what I was
with
gonna
other
say.
kind
I
of
was gonna be
methods?
like, healthy ways, no. Unhealthy ways, yes, many. Definitely used alcohol for years,
mm, mm.
and then a bit of drugs. Why not step it up a notch? 'Cause that's such a good idea.
Get a girl that does both.
Honest to God. Now I'm like, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I'd lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, yeah, heavy. But I feel like everyone does it.
Mm.
Like, everyone copes in that kind of way. And I don't know, now I'm so aware, like even on night, I'm like, if I don't feel good, like I will go out and not drink, or I'll be very aware of what I drink, because the next day, like I get the fear for no reason anyway. So I'm like, do I really want the fear because I've been crying in the bathroom to some random girl? No, I hate myself. No, we don't need that.
Oh, poor thing. I suppose that's so normal though, especially in Ireland. Like that's the
Normal.
only way we cope. Like I did it as well, like blackout drunk all the time. Like my mom, if she listens to this, she'd be like, "Fucking hell, yeah." Like
Oh,
I remember one time coming home, like so drunk that I was not able to speak. My mom actually thought it was drugs, and I was like, "Oh no, honey, that's just drink."
that's just how we
Um,
cope.
yeah, like it, and I like we're not aware of it really. Like my mom and dad would always be like, "You're drinking excessively," but I'd be like, "Whatever, you don't know anything. You're boring. You have like three drinks and you're fucking drunk." Like that kind of way. It's never really, I suppose. Maybe it wasn't. I suppose noticed. I suppose how much I was drinking was a way to cope. Like you're all bottled up in your own head at the same
But
time.
also, like, the drink culture in Ireland at that age, like, is heavy.
Mm,
So that's one thing for someone doing it that isn't struggling in their head, but then that's a whole other ball game when you're doing it. So you're kind of like, oh yeah, but everyone's doing it. Yeah, but they're not waking up like the next day hating themselves, staying in bed for like a week, crying,
Mm.
like trying to suppress things. So like that is a whole other ball game.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's so true. And I suppose as well, even if you're trying to step away from that, because everyone's doing it, you're almost being
Oh,
dragged
it's so
back into
hard.
it
So
because you're
hard.
being labeled, you're being the boring one, you're being a dry shot, you're being this, that, and the other. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, when can we have any autonomy over what we're doing with our life?
Yeah.
You just can't.
But
Was there
still
a
like
period of
that.
time? Sorry,
Still
go on.
like sorry. Still like that. I feel like in Bali, well, like in Dubai, I was drunk for a lot of the year and a half. Like, but it wasn't like suppressing things. Like I honestly did have a ball. Obviously there was
It's
hard
different.
times, but like it is a party place. Like it's wild. But in Bali, like I never would have went out in Dubai and not drank, like ever. That just would not be an option in my head. Whereas in Bali, I think you do.
Mm.
Like there's so many nights I've gone out and like I'd be like, well, I can't dance if I'm not drunk. Like I'd be like, I'd always be like to the girls, oh, I haven't had enough drinks to get on the dance floor. Now I'm like, give me the microphone. You can't get me down from the karaoke. Like sober Sally. The girls at home to be like, what happened? And I'm like, I
Who
don't know.
is this bitch?
Who
Yeah.
is this great bitch?
That's such a good point. I suppose there is that. So I would have actually, would Bali have been your first time that you would have decided to go out and not drink?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I would have actually tried it in Ireland. So I would have been like, what's the word, abstinent, like trying to not go out as much. And I would have had a good period of time where I was working on my relationship with food, well, eating disorder, working on my relationship with myself, my skin, my digestion, my PCOS, all that kind of stuff. So that was like like a good 6 months from like summer to Christmas. And then after that, kind of again, because it's my final year of college, that was kind of my justification, let's say.
Okay. And did you
But
find
even
that
then,
helped?
it did like 100% to help me like connect so much more with myself. Because like you said, like I'd be spending like the day in bed to like 5 p.m. the next day. I'd only crawl out of bed just to get a fucking Domino's
Yeah,
and or a 3 in 1 or whatever the fuck. So like this is exactly, it's the habits afterwards that people aren't
that's
aware
it.
that can
Oh my
exacerbate
God.
that or make that so much worse.
Yeah,
Like if you're going to be sitting in your feels while you're low on energy, you've low blood sugars, you've got toxins running through your system. That's what alcohol is at the end of the day. I'm not going to
yeah.
say I don't enjoy a night out with drinking still, but it is at the end of the day toxic shit going through your body.
No, it is.
It is. So if you are someone that struggles with your mental health, or if you're someone that gets blackout drunk on a night out because you're coping with anxiety, or because you're wanting confidence or whatever, alcohol is just not the answer.
No.
And
And it
it
seems like a
was
great idea at the time, but it's just not.
it
It's not
does
worth it.
because everyone's egging each other on. You're like, oh, shots now, this, that, and the other. And of course, you can still have shots within reason. You can still have these good nights out. I suppose like who you're with is also really important, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But I find like there's even there, of course, there's times where I'm literally the drunkest person in Bali or Ireland, but like it's not coming from a place of like hiding things now or suppressing things.
Mm,
Like, yes, that's not, it's okay to happen the odd time, but it's a whole different story when you're constantly like that and you're the
mm.
messiest one in the room and you're crying and you're aggressive. Like, that's different. Like, obviously, we're
Yeah.
all going to have our nights, but it's different when it's like regular, I think.
I think so too. I think it's very different if you're like living your life and you're making a conscious decision and you're in a good headspace versus like you're really suppressing, you're really trying to
Yeah.
be a different version of yourself, that keeps you further disconnected from yourself.
Yeah.
But I would have actually tried then over the years to kind of go out on a night out and only have like one, two, three, four drinks, and I would have actually been a fucking struggle, like really,
So
really
hard. It
difficult to do
used to be so hard.
because like what we do is we want to drink in our hand at all times because it's like almost like a little crutch. That's something
Yeah.
that we're holding. Like what are we
Yeah.
doing if we're not holding this thing? What do we do with our hands?
Yeah, I know. No, it is.
or or like people will definitely want to drink quicker as well. And I think what helps is like drinking drinks that will make you slow down, or having water in between, or
Yeah.
actually just putting your drink down on the table for a while you're
Yeah.
talking to people. And like you said, fucking fall in love with dancing and trying to like get out
Oh,
of your head, get out of your comfort zone, and go dance on the
yeah,
dance floor on a night out. Like
absolutely.
literally, I
I
crave
used to
dancing on the
sulk.
weekends.
Yeah, I used to, if I had to go out, like if I was out in Ireland and I had to not drink. And I mean, had to, like, not out of choice. Like, I could have something on the next day, but I really have to attend this event. Like, I would sulk for the night. I'd be in bad form. I'd be fuming. I'd hate everyone that's drunk. And I'd be like, why can't I drink? And like, that's a problem.
It is, yeah, yeah. But you
Like,
got through it in the end.
we're here in the end. Yeah.
Oh God. And I suppose, would that have been something that you acknowledge at the time as like a problem that you had?
No, and yeah, I definitely wasn't oblivious enough to like not think it was an issue. But I
Mm,
also was not willing to change it. Absolutely not.
okay. Mm.
Like, no way, that was not going to happen. Like, I think the longest I probably went was like 2 months without drinking before. And that's when I'd kind of just come out of hospital and was on edge about drink. I suppose that kind of changed when I came out then. I was very careful with how much I was drinking. Um, so yeah, I wasn't getting blackout drunk or as messy as usual. Um, but I definitely was in denial for a while.
And would you have been more cautious of the drink, I suppose, with the medication at the same time, or
No, probably not.
no?
Could I've been, yes, but no, I definitely wasn't. But like when I was coming off everything, I was so in a heap that I was like, I was afraid of alcohol. I kind of went the other way then, that I was like, I'm nervous because I had drank to get drunk. So I was like, how do you even enjoy a glass of wine now? Like, do you know what I mean? I was kind of gone the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it kind of took a while to, change that, I think.
I love
And
that.
then,
So, did you
yeah,
find your
then
time in hospital really helpful then, I suppose, for
no.
shifting? No?
Like that's
Okay.
probably like no, I actually had a disaster. Like I feel like not that I expect it to be cured, like I'm always gonna have bad days and I've accepted that a long time ago and that's fine. Like now I have the tools to kind of get through it and look at it a completely different way. But it didn't help me. And that's why I was so hesitant for a long time for sharing my story, because I was like, does it give people no hope in the Irish healthcare system?
Mm,
And I was like, is it really negative? Like, how do I? And people around me were always like, yeah, but that is the reality. And I was like, no, I understand that, but I don't want to be like, oh, you should speak out and go for help. And then it's not, the support isn't there.
yeah.
So I kind of wanted to share my story to show there is alternative therapies. Like there is different way of dealing with things, and maybe certain things you think are acceptable, even down to like relationships and stuff aren't. And there's an unhealthy way to deal with your emotions, and like I don't know, things that helped me, I suppose. But I was hesitant because I was like, oh my god, it's actually so negative on hospitals and medication. And but it's definitely not just me. Like the amount of people I've
Mm,
spoken to that have like negative experiences is
mm,
horrendous.
mm. Yeah, I've heard so many stories myself, from clients, friends, and like that's why I'm doing what I'm doing with this podcast as well. You have to understand. So for anyone listening, actually go and listen to Kirstie's podcast. It's amazing. Like she's so vulnerable and open and honest with everything that she went through, from like medication abuse to domestic violence to her own experience with self harming and stuff like that. Like you're an absolute fucking queen. Like just
Oh,
your
thanks,
journey that you've
Gal.
gone through. No, but like for to go through that journey is one thing, but to share that in the context or in the hope to help others, like that's absolutely amazing. So well done.
Oh, thank
But
you. I'm so glad I did it, to be fair.
yeah, no, it's brilliant because I think when we talk about this stuff more and more, this does highlight the reality. And when we talk about the reality, we can actually face the actual problem, not
Yeah,
continue to suppress it and like shove the shit under the carpet. We're
yeah,
continuing with the shit analogies.
yeah, absolutely. I wonder how many times we'd say shit.
Shit. But no, like I love the minute I heard that you were like, yeah, Reiki is the thing that really helped me. I was like, here we fucking go, because like I I like yourself was offered medication. I chose not to take it at the time because I didn't think I was at the point yet where that
Yeah,
was like I wanted that to be there for me as an option if I did need it, and I didn't want to take it just yet. And went to counseling and literally was like, this is so shit. He's not able to cure my problems. I'm not able to find any sort of solutions and answers here. And I suppose what wasn't taken a look at, like what you mentioned there about the holistic multiple different factors that were
yeah,
affecting your mental health. Same as me, no one ever looked at my disordered eating or my eating disorder. No one ever
No.
looked at my actual general health, which is affecting my mental health. No one ever raised the conversation of what are your friendship groups like, how are you feeling in life at college, and all these different kind of
Yeah.
things.
There's
And
so many
like,
things.
yeah, like, and the reality was I was riddled with anxiety to the point I had like physical stomach issues, chest pain all the time. You know, I was
Horrendous.
feeling so low, like crying all the time, and it was never really. It was like, how are you getting on with coping, or like just these real basic general questions. It wasn't actually getting to any sort of. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they didn't ask the right questions, and that's what's really important. So the more and more the likes of yourself and myself open up and have these
Yeah.
conversations, is someone can actually be like, oh, okay, that might be something that I need to have a look at in my life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think it's so hard to find like a counselor or therapist that you connect with as well. And I
Mm,
think for a long time, like I'd go to someone, I'd be like, it's just not working. But then I was just like, oh no, I'm actually just not connecting with them, and that's okay.
yeah,
I think people like give up then or decide that's the problem. But it is so hard to connect with someone. I actually, my New Year's resolution is to go back to therapy. Just out of like, just to talk.
yeah,
Like even
yeah.
every 2 weeks, just to I feel like everyone does it, that they don't look after their mental health until it's in the gutter. Do you know?
I agree. Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes. So that's my New Year's resolution. But again, yeah, like if I don't connect with someone, that's it. It just doesn't. How are you going to open up?
no, no, it's like having a friendship and you're trying to have a conversation with each other and you don't actually have any sort of interest or you don't vibe at all.
No.
So what's the point in us continuing talking, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that can be a defeating or disheartening thing for people if they do go to one therapist and they find that they're not vibing at all.
This is the
Like
thing. Yeah.
change. What I found good actually about BetterHelp was that you can change your therapist multiple times if you want.
Okay.
So I did therapy back in January this year. I just did it for a month. And again, so that is part of my healing journey with my mental health. I would have done therapy at another stage and again counseling at another stage, two different occasions. So like the psychology or the counseling or the kind of logical reasoning side of things, even like CBT and stuff is important.
Yeah.
But I suppose what's also really important is your emotional, is your somatic healing, is the
Yeah.
safety you feel in your body, like using the tools, you know? And
I
there
always
have been, sorry, go on.
I always say like and this is just my opinion, but I'm just like, I think I'm not totally against medication. Obviously I'm so glad now that I'm literally on nothing and it took a long time to get here, but I'm like, okay, it can be used as a tool to make you strong enough to deal with your shit, let's say it again. But as like to ignore everything else and taking it that way, I just think isn't the right thing. You'll be on it forever then. How do you ever? I don't think it should be like, okay, I'm on this now and everything's perfect. Like it's not. I think you
Mm-hmm.
should sort it and have like an end goal or a time frame or whatever. Yeah, I just think as a crutch almost like is the
Was that
best.
offered to you? Like, was that something that was given a vision of, okay, let's do this for 6 months and let's figure it out from there?
No,
No.
no, definitely not. It was like, we'll try
Okay.
this tablet. Oh, that's not working. Okay, we'll increase it. Okay, we'll give you another one. And I suppose at the time, like, God, I'm going back to like when I'm 19 is when probably it all started, I suppose. Like my granddad passed and my anxiety was through the roof. But I at that time, like you're looking back, I can't believe I'm going to say 10 years, but anxiety wasn't a thing then.
No, it wasn't.
Like we didn't know what that was. And then it was only
We
after that
didn't
I was
know
like,
what
oh
it
my
was in
God.
your body. Like,
Yeah, I was looking back then on years and I was like, oh my God, I've been anxious like my whole life. And I would physically vomit. Like I get to a point with anxiety and I could be puking. Like it's very physical with me. And it wouldn't be my chest, it would be my stomach. And yeah, like it's horrendous. So like at that point, I think back 10 years ago, like medication was the only option. I can't, I think counseling was mentioned, but wasn't pushed. And I was like, oh, I'm not talking about things. Like, that's not happening if I can just take a tablet. That was my attitude at the time, I
okay,
suppose.
okay. I was
Definitely.
actually the opposite. I was like, I'll talk to someone, but it took me like fucking four attempts to go into the office and ask for counseling. Like I said that I wanted help. I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed that I
Oh,
was like, I
so
hope
bad.
nobody sees me going into this office. And there was the first time there was someone in the office I knew. No, absolutely not, walking straight out of there. Second time I went to the office and actually just couldn't bring myself to do it. I just walked up to the door and walked away. And then it was like the third time that I did go in and my friends came with me, because I was just like, I actually need someone to stand with me and make me do it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's such a
because
big step.
there was so much shame back then though. Like there really, really
There
was.
still is. Like, let's be honest, like it's not all, it's not gone. Like the shame is
No,
not gone, and it's so hard. Like that's why I'm just like, you literally have no idea what's going on in someone's lives.
I
Like no
know.
idea.
More recently, I kind of saw in a client who was kind of given an ultimatum to like either leave her job or quit, or sorry, quit, or she's probably going to get fired. And like she has mental health issues, when it's like talking about her performance, and it's like, why not ask the question, how's your mental health? So that kind of shit really fucks me off still, that you're still seeing that going on, and it's not really
Yeah.
about the human at the end of the day. It's
No.
still about like performance and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So I know that that's very much a stigma in work. Like I remember working in a corporate company, and not that the people I worked with would judge me. Like I very much had a great team and stuff like that, but it was always about like the stigma of not being able to handle yourself, or the stigma of not being able to perform as well, or
Being
whatever. And
weak.
it's like,
It's almost like a
mm,
weakness.
yes, that's exactly it. Like judging myself, I've judged myself multiple times along the way. So now when I see other people judging themselves, I'm like, you need to understand.
Yeah.
Like we have learned to cope or not cope throughout our life. Like no one, we have not been like, our parents come from a generation where they did not talk about fucking anything. Like my dad's sister died when she was 10 years old of cancer, and he would have been like, I want to say like 12 or 14, and they
Okay.
never spoke about it. It was just a funeral and that's it. It's
And
done.
that's
That
quite
was the
normal.
times.
Like, yeah,
Mm, that was the
which is
times. And
mad.
it's not that like they're a horrible family or anything. It's that like literally that was the done thing back then.
Yeah.
You move on, you get on with your life.
Yeah.
And my dad's so funny. He's always just like, nah, sure, get on with it. And I'm just like, Dad, come on. People can have feelings, and he's learning now.
Yeah.
But so that would have even like trickled into my own mental health journey, that they didn't understand. They could not comprehend. They're like, how do you have depression when you are out functioning and walking
Yeah.
around, going out fucking 3 nights a week, working almost full-time hours, and going to college and this, that, and the other? Like, you're not depressed. You are striving for this, that, and the other. You're achieving. You're la la la. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I am fucking miserable.
Like people have
So,
this vision of it, I think, bedbound, like can't
mm,
function, can't speak. Like I think that's a problem as well. Like I just don't think people realize the different aspects of mental health.
no. And I think that's where, again, the stigma, the stereotypes, and like mine started off with anxiety first and then
Mm.
developed into depression. Like, got a girl that can do both. But we love that phrase today.
Yeah.
But I remember like when I said that I was anxious, my mom was literally just like, you're just stressed. And I was like, no, mom, I have anxiety. I have been to the doctor. I've got anxiety. She's like, no, you don't. She was just like, you absolutely don't. And like
And
at
did
the
you tell
time,
her from the start or kind of after you'd been to the doctor? Like at what point did you open up to her
oh,
about it?
after, yeah. No, I couldn't bring myself to say it to her, because I was even still at that point so embarrassed, so ashamed, so like to like I was judging people with mental health issues at that point. Like I was like, I am not like them. They are people who are in the loony bin, and like
Yeah.
that's been my own thing, like my own perceptions of it as well. And obviously through the years I have very different understanding of it all now. But like at that time I did not want to identify as that, because of my own stigma and my own stereotypes about it as well.
Yeah. I'm still bad sometimes, like as in, and I hate to say this, but like, if someone's like, oh, what's wrong with you? I'm like, oh, I just don't feel well like today. Like, and I'm like, no, you're actually just anxious and having a bad day and you're down. Like I'm probably better with my friends because we're a more open generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd tell them straight out. But and I know it's different because obviously we're working for ourselves and all, but if I was in a job now, would I ring and tell them I can't come to work because I have anxiety? Probably not. I'd probably say I have a
Okay.
vomiting bug.
Okay. Yeah,
And like,
I'm probably the extreme opposite now. I'm probably too open and too vulnerable, because like my whole life is on a podcast or in a fucking Instagram story or whatever.
Yeah, I'm
but
definitely
but
getting better, but it's hard. Like I'd probably be like, oh, I was vomiting because I was anxious. Like I'd probably get to that
yeah,
point eventually, but like, would I be worried about it that they'd be judging me? Yeah, absolutely. And
okay.
that's such a problem. Like,
Yeah, it is. It is. I recently was kind of doing that because I found that again, judging myself was so around September, October, I was feeling really low. I hadn't felt as low as I did for the first time in like well over a year, 2 years or so. So I actually got a bit scared. I was a bit like, hey, whoa, what's going on here now?
yeah,
There was obviously a lot of different factors. I was sick and lots of different things going on. But I was getting to the point of kind of avoiding my stories. And one day I decided I'm just gonna fucking tell people what's up because I'm actually judging myself or stereotyping
I know.
myself, and being afraid of being the negative one online. And it's
Yeah,
like, why do you need to be positive all the time? Why do you need to have this
absolutely.
fucking like facade that's going on? That's not real. And I'm very much a firm, like one of my values is being authentic. So like
Yeah,
I would make sure to show up authentically. And when I did, so many people were like, thank you for sharing that. I feel
yeah,
like shit right now as well.
yeah.
You know?
I feel like that with the podcast since I've released it. People are like, oh my God. Like someone wrote to me one day and was like, I literally used to look up to you growing up, being like, oh my God, she's so cool, like has everything. And she was like, little did I know. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
but I was very good at hiding it.
Mm,
Very good. Feel like now with even like friendships and stuff like that, I'm very open from day one. So then I can't, like, I don't like to get like 2 months in and then I'm like, oh God, how do I tell them that I get down? See, there's me saying
Here's
down
all my
again. Not
traumas.
literally like, and whereas I feel like, yeah, I'm very open from day one to kind of avoid, I don't know. I just feel like if I kind of hide it at the start, that then I'm in an awful state. Like a month into the friendship, I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell them a big thing.
I know, I know. I feel like that's deeper connections though. I think you've
Yeah.
developed that now that you're actually in a supported network where you can be vulnerable and open and honest so easily, you know?
But I feel like I
Because
do it more so because I'm like, I want them to know that if they're struggling, like I've been through shit and they can talk to me. More
I
so. I
love
feel
that.
like, yeah, that's like a big factor on why I'm so open.
You mentioned on your podcast that the gym was something that really, really helped you. Would you have been training like the whole way through all of this, or would it have been something you just picked up along the way, I suppose, in the context of trying to use as a tool to kind of help your mental health?
I feel like I started training probably 6 months to a year of when I started like suffering from anxiety and going on medication and everything. And just kind of fell in love with it instantly. But then I probably wouldn't be consistent. Um, but yeah, it really helped me because I feel like the only time I'm not in my head is when I'm in the gym and I'm training.
Okay.
Like my focus is elsewhere and it's almost like a healthy distraction, if that makes sense. Like, and then sure you feel great after it. Like there's so many times still that I sit outside the gym and I'm like, I don't want to go. And then I'm like, oh my God, you're going to feel so good after it. And it works every time. But then there was a point that I was using it to like the extreme. So I was like training flat out and thinking, no, this is fine. Like I'm fine because I'm doing all these things. Same as showing up to work, showing up to the gym, like I'm training hard, but like I wasn't eating and like I was suffering mentally. I was addicted to medication, like addicted to Xanax, and like there was all that behind the scenes. And then I remember someone saying to me one day, like, just because you're going to the gym and you look good, like doesn't mean you're okay. And I was like, oh my God, people can see it. And I was like,
Wow.
what am I doing? Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like I went the other extreme as well. So yeah, even now I'm like, even little things like people going to the gym and they haven't eaten, I'm like, come on. Because I've been there and I was like borderline starving, I'm like, have a completely different mindset about it. But I feel like that's what I feel like if I hadn't went through any of that, how would I coach someone?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know, like if
Realistically,
you
getting
hadn't
a deeper
experienced,
understanding.
yeah, experienced the bad, not the bad side of exercise, but the way it can be almost like abused,
Mm.
um, I wouldn't understand people as much, I suppose.
And do you think, like, at the time that you were trying to use that as a way to cope, like, and control, or did you literally think you weren't aware of what was happening?
That's a good question. I wasn't aware for a long time. And then I think when people were like, why have you lost a stone and a half and your bones are sticking out? I was like, what? But I couldn't eat. Like I couldn't eat. And then I was going for my mind, but when you're not doing all of the other things outside it, like that's really no good. Like I remember one day, like I nearly collapsed and I was like, what am I doing?
Okay.
What am I doing? It went on for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So that would have been would that have been flagged when you were in hospital, let's say?
No, I wasn't in the gym. There was actually a gym when I was in hospital and I didn't go. Like I
Okay.
just didn't, I just couldn't go. Um, I don't know what I was doing all day, every day, like nothing. I literally was baking some days. I literally used to make cupcakes and I just was like, I just couldn't find the energy then. And I suppose, yeah, probably just before that. No, it was kind of a year. Let me think. Yeah, I kind of didn't have an unhealthy relationship in the gym actually before hospital. It probably took
Okay.
the year I kind of moved to Dubai, it kind of got bad. Um, yeah, and I was using it for all the wrong reasons.
And
Am I
do you
making
think you
any
shifted when
sense?
you came to you were making perfect sense. And do you think all that shifted for you when you came to Bali then?
Yeah, like, and do you know what? I actually found it really hard, and I haven't fully talked about this, but I feel like so I wasn't training for aesthetics. Like I was doing CrossFit, which I'd never done before. But then I had expected, like, I was like, when I go to Bali, like I'm gonna be ripped, like I'm gonna have abs. Like I thought it was gonna be amazing. But like CrossFit's just not that type of training. And I really battled with myself every month when the membership ran out. I was like, but I want to look a certain way, but then do I want to train with what I love? And honestly, it was such a challenge to choose the training I loved over how I looked aesthetically. Because I was also very paranoid about like, okay, you're a PT now, like you need to look a certain way. And I'm still a bit like that.
Mm,
Like I'm like, you want people to want to look how you look or to sell this image. But now I'm like, no, like you can't do that's not first of all, it's not like if you're hating your training and just want to look like that aesthetically, how long is that going to last? Like
yeah.
how happy are you going to be in your mind? Like that's not going to work. But that was so hard for me. Every month I was like, should I go to like a weights gym and like start back weights training and do this, that, and the other because I'm not losing weight this way, or my arms aren't toned, or like whatever it was really hard,
Mm,
really hard. But yeah, I literally probably purposely more so to prove to my mindset that I could do it, chose what I loved each time.
I love
I
that.
just
I
was
love that.
like, yeah, you need to learn to not make them choices. Like that's not good.
I think that's part of a journey for a lot of coaches. And just so people understand, like it's really not uncommon for a lot of coaches to have disordered eating, and then unfortunately they pass that on to their clients. Like there's so many stories that I hear about more and more, and they're still actively fucking coaching clients and basically giving them eating disorders, and it's so fucked up.
Horrendous.
But it's not uncommon, like for you at the start of your journey of, I am my product. I am basically
Yeah,
selling myself to, bring in clientele, and that's a really difficult thing. I think
it is
most
difficult.
coaches will struggle with. I struggled with it a little bit as well. Like gaining weight over lockdown, or not going to the gym sometimes, and really struggling with that kind of thing. And what
Yeah,
is so much more important is how you are treating yourself, because
yeah,
how you treat yourself is most likely how you're going to treat your clients. And like
yeah,
your warmth, your bubbly energy, like all that kind of stuff, that's why people go to you for coaching,
yeah. And I think,
like
yeah, I just think it's more relatable now.
mm,
Like I would rather people wake up and love to go to their gym and lose weight if that's their goal, lose weight slower and be happy with it than like starve themselves. Like I don't really focus on eating that much. Like I would never give a meal plan. I'll give meal ideas and like a guidance and like, oh, maybe swap out this and this, but I just don't want to go down the road of restrictive eating.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
think it can become, especially with women, like we're so focused on food and food guilt and the scales and all of that. I just think it's a dangerous game to start playing. Like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, literally the whole of my coaching is about that.
yeah,
And I suppose, and more what's happening lately, I suppose I just really want to make this point, is people are getting worried about money and what's happening post COVID, fucking threatened recession, all that kind of shit. And I'm seeing more and more people not valuing that, not valuing their health, not valuing
Yeah,
improving their relationship with food, not valuing improving their relationship with exercise, their hormones, their digestion, their mental health, needing therapy, whatever. That stuff should be top of your fucking priority list.
yeah,
You should be top of your priority list.
yeah,
And it's just very, very unfortunate that people don't see that. People don't see the value in prioritizing themselves. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important. Not going out on the weekend with the girls, like we
yeah,
mentioned on this podcast. If you are not feeling good and you're just going out just to show up, just to people please, just to be involved, but you're still not feeling so good inside, you drink, you feel even worse. Stop
yeah,
doing it. Like, really
yeah,
take a step back, have an honest conversation with yourself, reach out and get support. Whether that looks like a coach, whether that looks like a therapist,
yeah,
a doctor, whatever that looks like for you, don't leave it until it gets to rock bottom. And I think that's what's a really, really powerful. If you can take that from Kirstie's story and from my story, like, we did not have the awareness back then to know that this was
no,
something that was fucked, that needed help. Like,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
we have so much information and we have so much access to these new tools, holistic methods, that
Yeah,
you're looking at your diet, you're looking at your mental health, and you're looking at your physical health alongside possibly medication or whatever you need along the way.
yeah,
And for us to just have this access to this stuff would be such a shame to just like deprioritize it in the name of like keeping face or keeping up appearances, or like saving money for holiday or whatever it is. Like, I think, yeah, I suppose I made the point, but just really to prioritize yourself, because back then I felt so lost, so helpless, and that's why I
yeah.
do what I do, you
And I
know?
feel like when you prioritize yourself and your mental health and your well-being and all, like good things follow in every other aspect of your life.
They do. They really do.
Like they do.
And you can enjoy the stuff as well. Like, there'd be moments where I'd be on a night out and I'm so disconnected, so
Oh,
dissociated, that it's not even me. I'm not even there to enjoy myself.
no.
I'm so hyper vigilant. I'm so like listening to what people's conversations are and ready to answer with the funny answer, or ready to, and it's like, bitch, just sit there and be present,
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
worries, don't give a fuck about what you look like, don't spend 6 hours trying to get ready just so you can get a good picture, and then beat yourself up if you can't get a good picture.
Oh, that's honestly, that's what I found so hard in Dubai when I stopped over on my way back from Bali going home and like just people, oh, I just need to edit my picture 1 second. And I was like, I can't do this again. I was like, I just can't do it. Like it's not in me
No.
anymore. Like we'd be going around in Bali with no shoes and no makeup on, like for days.
I know it is actually
Mad.
got glam on the weekend, and I was like, wow, I actually forgot what it feels like to do
It's
like
so
proper makeup.
weird.
Mm. But yeah, literally, I think I'm gonna get a smack of reality in a nice way, that I can actually feel a little bit more pampered, and
Yeah,
you
it
know,
is obviously nice to feel nice, but you just appreciate the little things so much more when you kind of peel
you
it
do,
back.
yeah, you do.
Appreciate yourself so much more.
You do, when you see like your own beauty, and you see your beauty as well when you're happy,
Yeah,
when you're feeling so connected with yourself and you're feeling so grateful for where you are, who you're around, what you're doing. And that is the people will chase how they look versus how they
yeah,
feel.
yeah,
Like, I've never felt more beautiful than I have when I have been, after having a good day, feeling really connected, done my
yeah.
journaling, done my meditation, feeling around authentic people, and feeling like I've fulfilled in my job. And that had nothing to do with my looks. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe if I didn't have my tan that day or whatever, I might not be feeling 100%.
But still, happiness and confidence is literally so attractive. So
100%.
attractive. But I found that
Yeah.
when I got to Bali, that's probably one of the main things that Bali pulled up for me, I feel like, was negative self-talk. I actually don't know where it came from. It was horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could not get past it. And I literally would put on, I stopped wanting to go on nights out because I'd be like, I look like shit. Like I'd be comparing myself to everyone. It got really bad. And then I was like, in August, it was my birthday month, and I actually really hate my birthday. And I was like, I am not having a negative birthday month. And I was like, right, my goal for August is to improve my self-talk. self-love, and honestly changed my life. I literally every morning would get up and stand in the mirror and be like, right, say 3 things I like about how I look physically. And then I'd do it and I'd be like, oh my, like the first few days I'd be like, what am I doing? I've lost the plot. I didn't believe it. So I was just
Yeah.
saying things just to get it over with. And then honestly, it was just the habit. I was like, you are great. Now I'm
I
like,
love
you're a
that.
fucking catch. You look great. No makeup on, it's fine. And then I do it with like mental aspects. I'd be like, you're strong, resilient, whatever it was. And honestly, creating that habit made such a difference. Such a
I love
difference.
that.
But it had gotten so bad. So bad.
Mm.
And I feel
That's
like,
just what
yeah.
happens when you're in your fight or flight. So I suppose you said you don't know where it comes from. It's not like you're intentionally being like, okay, I'm gonna treat myself like shit today.
Oh my God.
It's the state of your nervous system that you shift into, and sometimes you think you're doing it as a protective mechanism. So like if you feel that you don't look good that day, most important word there is feel. If you feel you don't look good that day, what you do is then put yourself down, which might stop you from engaging in conversation with
Yeah.
people, might stop you from, you're kind of trying to beat the bully to the joke. So you're trying to, oh, I'm going to get there before they say it, or I know what they're
Yeah.
thinking. So I've got that catastrophe like sorted out and I know what the solution is. Ooh, hitting the microphone here. But you kind of preempt, you're catastrophizing,
Yeah.
you're trying to
Absolutely.
be the one that's in control when actually it's actually something that's doing a disservice to you and
Yeah.
not helping you in the slightest.
And I was
Um,
kind of like to myself, if you spoke to anyone the way you speak to yourself, like you would actually be one of the most vile humans. I was like, why is that okay? Because you're speaking to yourself like that.
yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
And
not good.
did you just notice it when you got to Bali?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, I don't think it was ever as bad. So I don't know what happened, but it was honestly shocking. And then, but you know what I actually think helps a lot? Like, and even with like bad days when you're like depressed or anxious or whatever, like, instead of beating yourself up for the entire day and being like, I shouldn't feel like this, I've nothing to complain about, like, why are you feeling like this? Instead of doing that, just being like, it's fine. You've had a bad day, like a little bit more self-care. Tomorrow's a new day. And I feel like I have less consistent bad days. Like I used to kind of abuse myself for the first day, giving out to myself. Then day two, I'd still feel like shit because I've just talked to myself for 24 hours horrendously. And then it would just be 3 or 4 days of feeling awful. Whereas now I'm like, you can let yourself have the bad day, let yourself cry for no reason. Okay, you feel like shit, that's fine. But like, do things that make you feel a bit more comforted or whatever, and then show up the next day. Like, and allowing myself to do that has made such a difference as well.
It does, yeah. It's not, you're no longer judging your emotions. You're no longer
Yeah.
beating yourself up for that. You're actually just allowing yourself to be a fucking human being.
Yeah, I found my nanny used to be like that when I was like, oh, I'm so down. She was like, oh, why? She was like, you're so beautiful. And I was like, yeah, but I'm
Oh,
beautiful and sad.
your nanny is amazing. Oh my God, I
Oh my
love
God,
them.
she's the best. She's
I
literally
live
out
for the
there, and I'm like, are
updates.
you going to make a star appearance or what's the story? Special guest.
Oh, she's brilliant. She's brilliant.
Oh,
But I actually have a theory of that. I think what happens is when we move away from the likes of Ireland or even Dubai, where we have our shields, we have our makeup,
yeah.
we have our fucking nice hair, we have our clothes, we have whatever. You come to Bali, you're almost stripped of all those
Oh,
things.
100%. Yeah.
So you're like, who am I without these things? You're comparing yourself to like maybe people are more tan than you and you're pale,
Yeah.
and it's like you're almost forced to really face that and actually accept yourself fully that little
Yeah.
bit more,
Yeah. I had no
and
idea who
that's
I was. Yeah.
we hide behind these masks, and even sometimes we still do. And like I said, it's okay to make yourself feel good. It's okay to like put your makeup on, do your hair nice, all those kind of things. It's important, but don't be reliant on them, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's not you really.
Yeah, I
And
feel like I used to do them, put on loads of makeup to be like, oh, people will think I look gorgeous. Now I'm like, no, I do it because I feel fucking great, and I'm going to do it for that reason. So
yeah,
yeah, it's
we love,
different.
we love. But yeah, this is such an amazing episode. Thank you so much for coming on,
Thank
Kirsty.
you for
Can you
having
tell
me.
can you tell people a little bit more about your services and where they can find you?
Yeah, so I mostly am on Instagram, so it's Grow with Kirsty. kind of chose that because I was like, it's overall growth as like a person, mindset. Obviously, great if you can grow an old glute here and there, but like, yeah. So I am, yeah, taking on clients all the time, and yeah, you can contact me on that, and we'll set up a call or whatever. And then my podcast is Grow Up with Kirstie on Spotify as well.
Lovely, lovely. Give Kirstie some love. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to share it with a friend. Like, subscribes, all that stuff is very much appreciated. And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.